Chapter 1, 1660, Mastermind. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Rock gambling was truly a matter of luck. Nobody could deny it, be they Goo Master or Goo Immortal. But the yellow-scaled merman was very confident in himself. Because he was prepared. All these years he had gambled with the rocks in his own Golden Jade house. He had observed, analyzed, and chosen some rocks with great precision. He was very confident in this gamble. These rocks naturally did not contain valuable things. Otherwise, he would have taken them himself. He would not leave them in the shop. He had to maintain his business. Most of these rocks would have goo worms. Even though they were not valuable, they were a form of excitement for the customers. This was like fish bait. They would want to continue gambling and investing. The yellow-scaled merman knew the locations of where these rocks were placed. Sometimes he even showed off his rock gambling skills in front of customers, opening goo worms and showing that he was a great expert in this rock gambling activity. Now the yellow-scaled merman was using these rocks to gamble against Jalin. He was very confident in himself. But in the first round, he tasted defeat. Jalin opened a rank 3 goo worm. It was superior to his. This was a good start. The surrounding goo masters were shocked. The yellow-scaled merman was also suspicious and uncertain. Was this mermaid girl a hidden expert? He had suggested a 2 out of 3 format earlier, but Jalin requested to change it to 5 contests. The bet was higher now. He staked the entire Golden Jade house. At the same time, if she lost once, she would have to hand over the Gather Oil Goo. But now, Jalin won. Not only did she keep Gather Oil Goo, she even won 20% of Golden Jade house. What a joke, I lost? The yellow-scaled merman could not believe it. He stared at the mermaid girl, his suspicions fading slowly. The yellow-scaled merman was very experienced. He could tell that Jalin was a newbie. Her expression of joy after getting a goo worm was not fake. She was genuine. Furthermore, Jalin did not know how to dissect rocks. She had asked the rock dissecting goo master in Golden Jade house to open her rock. Damn it, she had some dog shit luck. 2. Thankfully, we changed the rules from 3 rounds to 5 rounds. I have a lot of chances left. I am not in a passive spot. Thinking of this, the yellow-scaled merman looked at the rock dissecting goo master behind Jalin with a subtle gaze. The rock dissecting goo master nodded mildly. The yellow-scaled merman smiled to himself secretly. In this situation, no matter what rock Jalin got, even if there was a goo, it would be destroyed. How could she possibly win against him? The second round. I will choose first, Jalin said. Go ahead. The yellow-scaled merman smiled and replied. Jalin walked around for a while and was dazzled. I will choose this. Suddenly, she stopped as she pointed at a weird rock. This rock was very strange. It had multiple holes and was distorted in shape. It was not very compact and felt like a pile of sand. Normally speaking, such a sandy rock would not have any goo worm. Seeing Jalin's choice, the yellow-scaled merman laughed. He pretended to walk around, touching and knocking the rocks. After a while, he chose a huge rock and said, "This is my choice." The rock dissection started. The yellow-scaled merman did it himself while Jalin asked the rock dissecting goo master. This was an open gamble. They dissected the rocks in the hall. More and more spectators came. They talked among themselves as the newcomers learned of this gamble and gained interest. They chose to stay and watch. For goo masters, this was a huge gamble. One was the entire Golden Jade house. It had a lot of funds after years of operation. The other was a superb rank 5 Gather Oil Goo. The bet was almost equal on both sides. Gather Oil Goo was just too amazing. It generated immense profits by collecting black oil. The yellow-scaled merman chose a huge rock. He needed some time to dissect it. For Jalin, it was very rapid. The sandy rock was just too rough and coarse. Jalin's rock dissecting goo master was very casual in his actions. He had no pressure. If he destroyed the goo worm in the process, the yellow-scaled merman would be very happy after all. But at this time, Jalin said, "Use the gray soil method." The rock dissecting goo master stopped his action. He said, "Are you sure? This method has limited effect on sandy rocks." "Yes," Jalin responded. The rock-dissecting goo master shook his head. Little lady, I am not lying. I will not lie since I am the one dissecting this. Why don't you ask around? Everyone knows that the gray soil method has little effect on sandy rocks. I do not need that. Just do as you are told. This is in the agreement, Xiaolin insisted. All right, all right. The rock-dissecting goo master nodded. Once he used the gray soil method, the sandy rock's dissection became painfully slow. The rock-dissecting goo master was very annoyed. Earlier it was like he was using a knife to cut tofu, but now he was stabbing it with a needle while expending even more primeval essence. Use the flame-smoking method. A moment later, Xiaolin added. The surrounding goo masters gasped. They wanted to stop her. The rock-dissecting goo master said as well, the flame-smoking method will penetrate the rock. If there is a goo inside, it will die before it is excavated. Just do as you're told, Xiaolin said expressionlessly. The surrounding goo masters sighed. Someone said, is this girl really gambling? She cannot even be considered a newbie. She is just toying around. But Xiaolin had a firm expression that was somewhat relaxed. The rock-dissecting goo master shook his head. Since you want that, let's do it. Everyone can tell that I am not sabotaging you. This is your request. Use the dripping method. Blue mark method. Planting chi method. Next, Xiaolin gave several precise instructions. The sandy rock was already fist-sized, but no goo worms came out yet. The rock-dissecting goo master had an ugly expression. He felt that Xiaolin was purposely toying with him. She said those names that she knew randomly. All right, give it to me. I will dissect it myself, Xiaolin added. What? The rock-dissecting goo master was stunned but quickly reacted as he let out a breath of air, passing the rock to Xiaolin. Xiaolin bit her tongue and spat out blood at the rock, before using gather oil goo to apply suction force on the rock. Crack. The rock cracked. A rank 3 goo worm was exposed. There was a goo? What goo is this? I have never seen it before. It is asleep. By the looks of it, it is complete and uninjured. The surrounding goo masters went into a commotion. The rock-dissecting goo master was stunned completely. He looked at Xiaolin with a dumbfounded expression, thinking suspiciously, is this girl really tricking us all? The yellow-scaled merman also stopped his dissection with a dark expression. Even if he opened it, his rock only had a rank 2 goo, but the other party had a living rank 3 goo. There was a goo. Master Chu was not wrong after all. Xiaolin was overjoyed. Among the crowd, Fang Yuan smiled lightly. There was no goo in the sandy rock. There was only a goo material. Fang Yuan instructed Xiaolin to indirectly manipulate this rock-dissecting goo master and refine the goo material. Eventually, when Xiaolin dripped her blood and used gather oil goo, the final step was completed. Normally, newly refined goo worms would be active, but Fang Yuan used a unique goo refinement method that made the goo worm hibernate. This allowed him to trick everybody that was around. Nobody saw through this or found any flaws. Quasi-supreme refinement path attainment level. It was not a joke. Everyone was not calm. They looked with Xiaolin with a different gaze now. Who sent you here? The yellow-scaled merman shouted. His composure was gone. He realized something wrong. Thoughts surged in his mind. He had offended many people over these years. He felt that Xiaolin was a bait. He had fallen into a trap. This rank 5 goo was used to trap him. It was truly a huge gamble. Calm down, calm down. I cannot take any more risks. The other party came prepared. The yellow-scaled merman wiped off his cold sweat as he focused his gaze. He had a trump card. There was a special batch of rocks in this golden jade house. These rocks were not natural. The yellow-scaled merman had created them artificially. He first made living or dead goo worms look like they were in a hibernating state. He then added rock fragments around them and eventually created artificial rocks. Rocks that contain goo worms often had some observable traits, making them different from ordinary rocks. These kinds of rocks were not easy to find. Sometimes, in order to resolve the lack of supply of gambling rocks, the yellow-scaled merman would create fake rocks himself. Of course, not all of these rocks would contain goo worms. Some only had these observable traits. The third round, defeat. The fourth round, Defeat again. The Gu Masters watching this gasped. Nobody had expected this to happen. Everyone looked at Jia Lin with wariness and solemnness. The yellow-scaled merman turned pale. He gritted his teeth. Ruthless light flashed in his eyes. He was like a jackal forced to the end of a cliff. The final round, I cannot afford to lose. I need to use my strongest trump card. The yellow-scaled merman's trump card was naturally overpowering. He hid the carcass of a rank 5 Gu in a fake rock. According to the gambling rules, only a living rank 5 Gu could beat him. Both sides chose their rocks and dissected them. Snap. Fang Yuan suddenly snapped his fingers, using a Time Path Immortal Killer Move 1. The entire Golden Jade House and even the island became still. Anything and everything became motionless. Fang Yuan walked out of the crowd, coming in front of the yellow-scaled merman, who was focusing on the flame and dissecting his rock carefully. Fang Yuan squeezed the rock lightly. He saw the carcass of a rank 5 Gu. Next, he placed this carcass into Jia Lin's rock and returned to the crowd. At the next moment, time resumed.